In recent days, China has been facing the wrath of nature. From cities to rural areas, extreme phenomena have been reported everywhere. In some places, floods surged and swept away houses and farmland. In others, violent storms tore apart the skies, while certain regions were suddenly struck by pounding hailstones, each as large as a fist, crashing onto rooftops and windows. All of this combined into a chaotic picture, making people feel small before the furious power of the earth and sky. On the evening of September 13 in Beijing, as the streets were still bustling with traffic, the sky suddenly darkened. Dense, swirling clouds rolled in like a massive curtain covering the capital. Just as people looked up, thunder roared across the heavens, followed by the first drops of rain. But within moments, it was no longer rain falling. Hailstones came crashing down, icy white, some as big as a child's fist. The pounding sounded like thousands of iron hammers striking at once. Tin roofs, glass windows, and even the glowing electronic billboards along Chang'an Avenue were smashed into pieces. Panic-stricken pedestrians squeezed together, rushing for cover under bridges, subway stations, or any remaining shelter. A video circulating on social media showed that in less than 10 minutes, the entire Shenzhen district had turned into a sea of ice. Streets were blanketed white, as if it were midwinter snow, though it was the peak of summer heat. The chilling sound of millions of hailstones crashing echoed everywhere, prompting many to describe it as like a doomsday scene from a Hollywood movie. A Beijing resident, Yan Feng, told the Epoch Times that the hailstorm had destroyed all vehicles in sight, smashing both front and rear windshields. Car roofs were riddled with dents, resembling bubble wrap. Some elderly people told me they hadn't seen weather like this in 40 years. They also said it should already be cold by now, since September marks the white dew season. Yet Beijing is still sweltering this year. Yan Feng continued, "September is usually gentle autumn with light drizzles, but I never expected such oppressive heat and hail this large. I've never seen anything like it." He added, "I know in Shijingshan and Fengtai, hail was massive, as big as ping-pong balls and eggs, covering the ground in white. One video even showed an old man, shirtless, cleaning up the hail. It felt like the heavens were truly furious." On the night of September 13th, several districts of Beijing were battered by severe hailstorms. A yellow hail warning was issued for 9 districts, including Fengshan, Chaoyang, Shijingshan, Daxing, Dongcheng, Haidian, and Xicheng. Netizens in Fengtai commented, "I've never seen hail this big." Some hailstones were nearly the size of chicken eggs. The heavy hail was described as the sky raining down icy stones. One woman was injured while walking home. She recalled being utterly terrified as enormous hailstones, nearly the size of eggs, struck her body painfully. She was bruised all over and sprained her ankle. Floodwaters reached knee level, and all the streetlights went out. The sky was pitch black. Helpless, she stood in the middle of the road crying, until 2 men rushed to her, one shielding her head, the other her body, and together carried her home. According to the blogger Hotspot Gravity Wave, he was driving home from the steel forest of the China World Trade Center when the hailstorm hit. Just moments earlier, the gentle autumn twilight had glowed outside his car window. Suddenly, hailstones the size of beans rattled down like machine gun fire. The sound was like countless pebbles dancing a deadly waltz on the car roof, sending shivers down my scalp. Within minutes, the ground was covered with a layer of shattered ice. The blogger noted that the intensity of this hailstorm was extraordinarily rare. In some areas, hailstones reached diameters of up to 5 centimeters, the size of a standard ping-pong ball. Their force was strong enough to puncture tin roofs. He added that when the storm struck, bus stops were packed with people seeking shelter, and the owner of a small roadside supermarket even opened his doors and waved shivering passersby inside. Another Beijing resident, Li Jian, remarked, "Since ancient times, people have linked strange weather with injustice. In the play about Douai's wrongful execution, she said, 'If I am wronged, snow will fall in June.' And it did. Now we see the same thing." He continued, "Masanjia in Liaoning province and Zhujiangzhuang in Beijing's Fengtai district are infamous places of cruelty. The methods used there against dissidents are brutal, even worse than the mafia." High-rises along Wangfujing Avenue were not spared. Glass windows of shopping malls shattered into shards, raining down on the streets. Cars parked along the roadside were reduced to twisted metal within minutes, pocked with hundreds of dents. Residents recalled that at times the hail hit rooftops so hard their entire apartments shook. Many international tourists visiting the Forbidden City panicked and fled as the storm struck. Ancient glazed tiles cracked, fragments fell to the ground, raising concerns that the 1,000-year-old heritage site had been damaged. At Tiananmen Square, the political and tourist heart of the capital, the ice piled up so thickly that bulldozers were required to clear it. Locals compared Beijing that day to a frozen battlefield, where the sky rained not water, but millions of icy bullets. When the storm subsided, Beijing resembled a city after a bombing raid. More than 20 districts and counties were directly affected, with Chaoyang, Haidian, and Dongchen among the worst hit. On major streets, thousands of cars had shattered windows and dented roofs, causing economic losses of hundreds of millions of yuan in just a few hours. Commuters who drove new cars to work in the morning returned to find nothing but battered wrecks by evening. Hospitals across Beijing reported hundreds of injury cases. Some people had deep cuts from broken glass. Children were struck on the head by hailstones and required stitches. Several fatalities were also reported, mostly in outlying areas where flimsy housing offered little protection. Agriculture around Beijing suffered devastating losses. Vegetable gardens in Tongzhou and cornfields in the northern suburbs were destroyed, with crop damage covering tens of thousands of hectares. Farmers lamented. A whole year's worth of hard work vanished into thin air in just half an hour. The city's transportation system was brought to a complete standstill. Beijing Capital International Airport was forced to cancel hundreds of flights as runways were covered in ice. The high-speed rail network was halted, while subway stations overflowed with people seeking shelter. Millions of Beijing residents were left waiting for hours in utter chaos.